2017 annual training schedule, economic impact, and environmental briefing. Carl?
Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Mayor Zelka and City Council members. I'm Scott St. Sauver. Many of you know me. I'm the commander out of Camp Ripley, and I'm pleased to be here for the briefing that I give annually on what's going on at Camp Ripley, and for me, my last briefing with you guys, as I'll be retiring this fall. And I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end, but you'll be seeing a new commander this fall at Camp Ripley as I end my 37-year career in the military and move on to new and exciting things outside of the Army. But tonight I just want to run over what's going on at Camp Ripley. Next slide, I have the clicker. That works really well because I can do it myself. Our mission hasn't changed. Obviously, you all are very aware of our mission and what we do at Camp Ripley, and I really have always called it the triple bottom line. Our federal mission, our state mission, and our community mission. Our federal mission is still ongoing and very strong, and even though our deployment cycles have reduced, and what you'll see in the slides coming out that talk about what we're doing this summer, we've kind of flattened back to a normal training schedule. We've already moved a number of pieces of equipment to Europe. We're sending a battalion over to Europe this summer for the European Reassurance Initiative in Estonia, Latvia, and Poland, and we'll also be sending some of that equipment up to Sweden to be doing an exercise with Sweden this summer. So you probably already noticed trains coming in and out of Camp Ripley, and although it won't be like it has been in the past, that equipment will all go out this spring and come back at the end of the summer. So you can expect that. All a part of that federal mission. Our state mission obviously has not changed, protect the property and citizenry of the state of Minnesota at the call of the governor, and we continue to ramp up to do that. We are fully prepared for our spring. If there's flooding across the state, we store a lot of the equipment here. A lot of that equipment is staged here and kept at Camp Ripley. So we're in a constant rotation with those types of exercises. And of course, my community mission, and that's what we're doing right now, making sure we're out in the community every year, telling you what's going on and what you can expect from Camp Ripley throughout the summer. So our mission is simply that easy. Economic impact, I think what you'll see here is that as I mentioned, we flattened out. So you can see here the years where we were in the war, ending the war cycle. We had a lot of construction going on, and one thing about construction, I've talked about it for a number of years, is we made the improvements over the last 10 to 12 years that we needed to make for the next 30 to 40 years. So all that investment was made by the federal government and the state government into Camp Ripley, and that ends up being those numbers then for the project numbers is starting to reduce. Now that'll be around that $5 to $6 million a year if we have no more storms that affect us, but we tend to have flattened out, and you'll see that with our economic impact. And I think you should expect over the next 5 to 10 years that number to be somewhere around 280 to 320 million a year. So very stable into what we're doing out at camp in a very, very specific way we've done it. Now, since I started, obviously, our training season is extended. You all remember the June, July, and August training schedules, but we really start now already in April and May, and we head out into September and October. A little bit more, which is actually nice because we, instead of really ramping up, we spread that out over a number of periods, and it helps us with our gap marketing. Our accomplishments over the last year, just a couple things that I'll point out, and I'll talk about a couple of them later, is that, the rail movement last year, y'all remember we moved 1,300 pieces of equipment off of Camp Ripley, the largest rail movement we've had in many, many, many years. It was handled very well. It was really supported well by the community as we moved those trains in and out of Camp Ripley. This year, I had the opportunity to host the president of Croatia out at Camp Ripley. It was a very nice visit by her and her team, and I since then have been to Croatia twice with my team as we're developing a NATO training center in combination with the Croatians, because the Croatian base in Slunj, which is in the southern part of the country, is very similar to Camp Ripley. The terrain's very similar, the size is very similar, and so as part of our state partnership program, my team has been over to Croatia a couple times to help them build that capability in the southern Balkans. We also had passing of two general officers. General Vesey, most most people remember General Vesey, and that is probably the one time, if you had the opportunity to be out at camp, you'll see a funeral of such magnitude, where they sent the actual caisson team and honors team from Arlington National Cemetery to inter General Vesey at the State Veterans Cemetery. And of course, we also lost one of our own, Brigadier General Gary LeBlanc, who brought me up. He was one of my mentors in the Guard, and we lost him this last summer and did his service at Camp Ripley as well. And then on the bottom, the arming of security guards is ongoing. Our security guards at Camp Ripley are all armed. I'm currently in the process of the final stages of arming our military policemen that drill with us on weekends and that work for us in the summertime to continue what we need to do for the force protection of Camp Ripley for the soldiers and civilians that work every day on and off the installation. We also do a lot of post-wide exercises, emergency response exercises, as well as we've been doing a lot with our law enforcement community, with the Little Falls Police Department, Morrison County Sheriff's Department in active shooter type events and things where we need to respond to our own internal threats. So doing that as well. Just an update on our active nature damage. You're all aware that we had an F1 tornado last fall in September. We have done all of the contracting processes. We're at about a 65% design and replacement of those facilities. We'll actually award those contracts yet this summer and probably start tearing down the old buildings this fall and then reconstructing. So these 4 total loss buildings right here, we received about $29 million from the federal government, and they'll be rebuilding that infrastructure so that economic impact statement next year will look better, but I'm not suggesting we have more tornadoes or anything like that. That was quite an exercise for us, but luckily for us, in all of the training that we do in preparation for events that would affect our communities, every once in a while you have to use that for yourselves. And I couldn't be more proud of the team at Camp Ripley and the law enforcement community that was on Camp Ripley at the time, and our own police forces and your teams as well that helped us and got us back on our feet, so we were up and running without any problems, with no loss of life and very, very minor injury to a few people. So we're very, very fortunate. So we'll be taking care of this $5.5 million, these smaller buildings, but the larger buildings, that will take a period of years. So it'll be about 2 years before those facilities are done and back in production at Camp Ripley. But everybody likes these pictures. When I took this building right here, which was a maintenance shelter, we were about a week from dedicating the solar field, if you remember that. And it took it up and then it threw it right in the middle just to create a new challenge for us to see if we could solar it any better. So, but we got it all fixed up with everybody's help, and we're well back to it. One of the newest ranges we build will come online this fall. What does that mean? We'll be louder. Why wouldn't we be? We actually updated this range. All we're doing is spreading out the amount of tank fire that we have to do. Our tank firing, that a lot of you know this, living in the community, it starts earlier in the year. It's a lot of weekends, and because of the readiness standards of our brigades to be able to deploy now under the new readiness models, we have to have them ready at a high rate at all times. So it's about a 4-year training model, so they have to do a lot more firing. This range will do all of that for us. It's a very, very long range. It's all automated and target tree. It's about an $8 million range. It's taken a while to get it online, but now we'll be able to shoot 4 tanks online or Bradleys. We also do, this is overlaid with heavy sniper, so we can do all our sniper qualifications and firing as well. And then you'll see we have a UAS tactical strip, so a lot of our shadow aircraft that we fly, our UAVs we fly, they'll be able to do that from a tactical location downrange than just off of our airfield on Camp Ripley. So this range you can expect to come on late this fall. Here's kind of a look at our schedule. In May, you'll see that we're starting to ramp up again. About 10,000 in May. A nice flow here, not a lot of noise, a lot of engineering units coming into Camp Ripley, and then we'll finish up with our civilian training because that usually ramps down. It ramps up in the spring. We do a lot of our live fire training, a lot of our bucket training. You'll see the helicopters right now. There's a number of helicopters that are doing bucket training right now with the DNR. So we're finishing up that training right now. We've also got an aircraft unit out of Minot Air Force Base doing their gunnery up here right now with their helicopters. And so we have have a little bit of that going on, and then we'll move on. But May is a very much just a standard month for us. Obviously, if you're in the DAV turkey hunt's coming up, I hit one on the way to town tonight. I've never hit a turkey before, and I hit one 2 miles out of town. So I don't know what the deal is. I couldn't believe I saw one right there, but, well, actually, I didn't see it, but. So if you need any turkey, it's 2 miles north. June is a busy month for us, and it always is. But here's what I want you to take away from this slide. See all the states that are here? 5 artillery battalions. 5. Okay? Artillery battalions make a lot of noise. And so you can expect in pretty much the entire June time frame, both south end of camp and the north end of camp, there'll be a lot of artillery firing. So those lights in the sky, you always remember those when we're shooting illumination rounds and things like that. You can expect a lot of those kind of fireworks from Camp Ripley in June, as we have a lot of artillery that'll, as well as the tanks on the range at the same time. So very, very busy month for us. July, again, we have the artillery units will be ending up. We'll have one combined arms battalion coming in from Ohio, and then this division right here out of Wisconsin. This is a large command post exercise for multiple units. So this will be actually run between Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, and Camp Ripley. So you can expect a lot of traffic on the highway. Okay, and toward the end of July, we're going to be moving a lot of equipment, a lot of communications platforms back and forth. You'll see a lot of helicopter traffic up and down the corridor. So just be aware of that in July as that exercise is going on. Also down here at the bottom, we'll be hosting the National Best Warrior Competition for the National Guard. So we'll be bringing in the best of the National Guard soldiers that'll be going through a series of competitions to determine the best warriors in our force from across the United States. So that'll be quite an exercise. And I brought with me tonight, just so you guys could all get your eyes on him, my new Sergeant Major out at Camp Ripley is Command Sergeant Major Matt Erickson. Matt comes to us from over by the Moorhead, Detroit Lakes area. He's coming into Camp Ripley, and him and I have served together. We served together overseas. He was one of my first sergeants, so we have a very good relationship from the past. And then, of course, you probably all know Chief Bierke. Chief is my communications guy. He's the one that makes these slide work, or I fire him. He hasn't got fired yet. We're good. August, 16,000, again, a very busy month for us. August moving into this fall. Not a whole lot of extra, except you do need to be aware that there's the air wings. A lot of people this time of year, or throughout the year now, I think people are getting used to the C-130s, but the C-130s are in a much higher deployment rotation right now. They're rotating for short tours and then back, and they're constantly in rotation. So you should expect to see them day and night, especially in this month, because they'll be doing low levels. We'll be doing a lot up in the pillager areas. They come in and out. Depending on the ski routes or the routes they fly from St. Paul up here, this is a unit out of the cities. But again, a lot of states here training. The Combined Arms Battalion will be finishing up. A Marine Battalion out of Camp Ripley, so we'll have a Marine Battalion up here doing a lot of groundwork as well. And then, of course, in August is when I bring the Gold Star families in. One of the best events that I'm involved in yearly. Also, it's one of those events where if you've been involved with Gold Star families, those that have lost a service member, it's a joyous occasion, but also, there's much emotion involved. But we bring them out to camp, and we were a little concerned the first year we did it a number of years ago, but they truly love coming out there and re-engaging with the military, and we're proud to do that. So just be aware the Gold Star families will be out at camp this summer as well. In September, you'll see our numbers go way down. Our numbers go way down, and then we start our our fall civilian training. So you'll start to see our civilian numbers ramp up. So as we finish up we'll have our IDT, our drill weekends, our annual training cycles run down, but then we start right into our fall suite of events with all of our first responders and all of our law enforcement officers. Also, our snowplow training, you all know, is in September. So the MnDOT is up with all of their snowplows, so that's when you see them running all over our roads. roads, and all over at Camp Ripley, and nothing's changed. Every new crew that comes in, it never ceases to amaze me. And about day 2, I got one stuck in the front gates. I got a big snowplow stuck in there and stuff going. But I'll tell you, after they're done, it's amazing. It truly is amazing watching what they can teach all those drivers. So it's a great event for Camp Ripley. It's a great honor for the state of South Dakota because, as I tell people all the time, it'll never mean anything to you until you're going down the interstate with your grandkids in the back of your car in a whiteout blizzard and know that those guys know what they're doing and gals know what they're doing in those snowplows. That's a pretty good value for the state of Minnesota, coming up here and doing that work. I'll talk a little bit about Community Appreciation Day. Put this on your calendar, please. We want to see you out at Camp Ripley. Biannually, we hold our open house for the public, and this year, on September 17th, we'll be honoring Korean War veterans. That tribute will be at 1 p.m. Obviously, that's held at the museum. It is open to the public. But more importantly, for one guy in this group that's here tonight, that will be my change of command ceremony at 1:30 out at Camp Ripley, and I'd invite everybody to come out. If you've never seen a military change of command between commanders, this would be an opportunity for you to see that, and I'd love to thank everybody for all the support from the community of Little Falls that everybody's given me for the 7 years that I've commanded Camp Ripley. So we hope to see you all out there on the 17th of September. In October, then, we're again about mixed. These are going to mostly be IDT or drill weekends. Again, we have some artillery coming in to do some fall shooting, and this is our hunt suites. We'll start our fall hunts down here, the DAV and the DNR archery hunts. I'm proud to say our deer are returning. Our numbers are up, and that's always a consideration of how we manage and what we're doing out at camp. But we've suffered the same things that the county and the area do, and so our numbers are looking well, and we have a lot of deer out on Camp Ripley. A lot of studies going on right now, and then of course all of our sheriff's associations and fire marshals divisions become very good customer at camp now. They come out and do about all their regional and state meetings out at Camp Ripley now. So we continue to add to that state level market that we have and trying to gap market those areas to keep us busy. Our partners really haven't changed. Minnesota DNR, obviously their conservation officers still live, and their rookie school goes on at Camp Ripley. The State Patrol, the Academy is being conducted currently, as well as funeral honors and some of their other teams. HSCM, I just signed up a couple of new exercises there, so Homeland Security Emergency Management will be doing some larger exercises, and then of course MnDOT. Our environmental programs, again, a banner year for us. Really, truly amazing what this team does for me out at Camp Ripley. This team recently won the Army Natural Resource Conservation Award for the Department of the Army, and now they're competing at the Department of Defense level again. I can't say enough about these guys. They not only protect the environment we live in, and they take the resources that we have, but they hold me accountable and our soldiers accountable for everything that we do, knowing how important that our resource is, that 53,000 acres is to us, and that 18 miles of Mississippi River is to us. So I'm very, very proud of the work that team does, empowering the soldiers to train and doing the work that they do. Now, obviously, you can see also we're very much into green energy. If you were around last week, you noticed that we finally did dedicate that solar field. It's working marvelously out at camp, but you can see we're doing more projects in geothermal. We currently have 2 of the largest horizontal fields in Minnesota out at Camp Ripley. We are working right now on things I don't understand. I know when you turn the light switch on it works, but they tell me this microgrid thing is a pretty cool deal, so I trust them that it's a pretty cool deal. And then of course we're working toward our goals of 20% energy reduction by 2020 per our requirements. Our environmental partnerships, you'll start to see a lot of our interns now. A lot of interns showing up at Camp Ripley for the summer. A lot of our cultural and natural resource programs are ongoing, and I'm seeing a lot of young interns right now. They just got done with the bears. Our bears are really on the upswing right now. I'm not sure what it looks like countywide, but on Camp Ripley we've seen quite that cycle going to the upside. A lot of young cubs, and we did those visits this spring, and now we'll start our summer suite of work and the work that they're doing out at camp. Our surveys are ongoing. Update on her, Ripley, our golden eagle. She actually lived, you'll see her chart right here, she lived over in the Long Prairie area all winter long, along the river over by Long Prairie. She came back to camp a little less than a month ago, and then she made her way all the way up, and she currently is at her summer home where there's about 1.5 feet of snow north of the Arctic Circle, almost on the Beaufort Sea. She's currently being studied as the farthest north breeding golden eagle in the United States, and now the farthest north going golden eagle. So there's a lot of studying being done on this girl, and so we keep an eye on her, and she's got a collar on her, and we're tracking her all summer long. So hopefully she comes back for her third winter next winter, and they can really get the data. But this is the kind of data that's capable of being done right here in our community, and we have great support to do that. We have ongoing research, obviously, with the long-eared bat, of concern, obviously, for everyone, especially in the logging industries and areas. So we have a lot of that. I still have bats with backpacks flying all over Camp Ripley, so the guys are working on those as well. Community outreach, again, a lot of school kids coming out, a lot of programs going on. Everybody loves the bears when they're this size. Interestingly enough, the 2-year-olds are not as nearly as excited to go down the hole and get as they are this little dude. But they enjoy that. Our turkey hunts are coming up, our deer hunts, our fishing events. We didn't have a lot of biathlon this winter, as you all know. But interestingly enough, we're doing some work to our biathlon range right now. We're adding snow guns, so by next year at this time we'll be making snow to supplement that, to be able to handle some more cross-country skiing and those type of Nordic events out at Camp Ripley. Prescribed burning, we're just about done. I think we're down to we burn about 14,000, about 15,000 acres in hazard and about 840 acres in mission enhancement. We're under 1,000 acres left to burn, and we'll be done for the year. So we've had a very good spring for burning off camp, and if you were out today driving, you notice we're doing a lot of work along here, right along the border right now, just finishing up some of these hazard reduction burns and burns over there. So I'm very happy with that, and people ask me, what's the thing that worries me the most as a commander? What's a fire off the installation? A fire off or on? That's the hardest thing to deal with in the summertime, and we've had both, so we want to make sure that we do everything we can to reduce that as we get into the live fire season. ACUB, what a banner year we've had in Army Compatible Use Buffer. 39 completed transactions for almost 3,500 acres. Of that, $1.5 million was state Lessard Outdoor Heritage money. $1 million of that was right from the Department of Defense, which we're one of the only guard installations that's benefited from that program recently, and then another $2.5 million from the National Guard Bureau directly. So all that money is executed. All these parcels around Camp Ripley were executed this year. Bowser is our primary agent that does that for us, Board and Water Soil Resources on the conservation easement side, and obviously fee acquisition would be the DNR. We've done very little fee acquisition lately. It's been almost all conservation easement. You're all aware of our Camp Ripley Sentinel Landscape. This is our newest program, which teams us up with the other large entities, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Department of the Interior, and the Department of Defense. This has come a long ways. We just received our first grant through the Regional Conservation Partnership Program. This expands our ACUB zone out to about 800,000 acres, is that right? 804,000 acres, and it really takes in the watershed districts. It's built off the watershed district plans. Very supported by the Commissioner of Agriculture in the state of Minnesota, as well as the Department of Defense and all the program, the Nature Conservancy, the USDA, all of those agencies. So we just had a large meeting. We had an open house to tell people more about what we're doing in this area. So very excited about this. It really opens up that aperture for federal funding to do more acquisition and more conservation easement work with other landowners that are interested in partnering with us to continue our mission. I mentioned our solar field. You probably were out there. If you haven't, please stop on and take a look at it. It's doing very, very well. It's meeting its requirements. It does do something for us, which is very important, and that brings us to what's called a net zero facility. That's a requirement by the federal government, and it brings us more towards that 20% goal. And it is the largest solar array on any National Guard installation in the United States currently. So it's quite an accomplishment. It's quite a partnership with Minnesota Power, and we're very proud to have it up and running. That's it. That's what we got going on. Questions of me? Anything I can answer for you? It's your last shot at me. Well, not your last. You can come out and yell at me.
Is your Best Warrior competition open to the public?
Sergeant Major, do you know? Don't have to answer. Let us get back to you. Let's get back to you, Raquel.
Events are isolated out in our training area, so it might be hard to visually see what's going on.
Let us send you something in, though. I would suspect, maybe a couple of the award ceremonies and maybe some of the events that aren't fully tactical, because that's what he's referring to. There's a lot of tactical exercise that goes into that. So there's some night operations and obviously the full gamut of individual military training. But we certainly will let you know.
Mr. President, I would just like to comment, like I do every year, how appreciative I am of and how lucky we are to have Camp Ripley and the amount of business that they generate for our community. What a great asset it is, what a great community partner they are. I feel very lucky to be able to serve on the Citizens Advisory Committee, and through my job as mayor, get to have a lot of contact with the Colonel. You're going to be truly missed by this community and many members of it. You've done a fantastic job out there with continuing to open it up to, it's no longer the little secret north of Little Falls. There's many opportunities to go out there and see a lot of great things. So thank you for your service, but most of all, thank you for the great job you've done out at Camp Ripley.
No, thank you. Honestly, the community is the most important thing that makes us successful. We couldn't do, honestly, what we do if you didn't support us. You all know that the almost 1,000 employees that come to Camp Ripley every day live in the communities around Camp Ripley. And so it is so critically important that we have your support to be able to do what we do, that we can't thank you enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you.